A very good evening and a warm welcome to the show. We're live from the Kampala Serena Hotel and proudly powered by DSTV and Guinness. Tonight, the press box is in receipt of a very scary document from Kigali, Rwanda. Uganda's national basketball side, the Silverbacks, are taking part in the Afro-Basket. But to be honest with you, we are not sure where they are sleeping tonight. They easily could be homeless in the next few hours. But because we're the press box, in a few minutes we shall be joined by the FUBA president, Nasa Serunjoji, live from Kigali to tell us about the plight of Uganda's national basketball side. Plus, Max Ali is in Kigali as well, so he has all the analysis. The national basketball side have played 3 matches. They have lost 2, but qualified for the quarterfinals while they take on Nigeria. From Nigeria, though, we shall be crossing over to Tokyo because the head of sport at NMG, Ismail Dakawa Chigongo, is closely following Uganda's performance at the Paralympics, so he's got a big report for us. And it's not just a report, it's one that involves a medal as well. Back home, we talk cricket. Uganda's national cricket side and the association as well have games coming up. On the show tonight, we don't only have a journalist in Innocent Ndaula, who, by the way, is a columnist at the Daily Monitor and also the stand-in head of sport, he says, but also we have a former captain and the president of the association joining us on the show today. Cristiano Ronaldo is back in the Premier League, and of course it was 5-star Manchester City. All the details are coming your way. I've spoken for too long today, hey? The headlines.
ICYMI Express Football Club crowned champions of the 2021 Uganda Premier League following a decision by FIFA Emergency Executive Committee that convened last week. With 4 rounds away from conclusion, the country
There you go. We are going to play you guys the right headlines. The producer is an Arsenal fan. He's still recovering from what exactly happened over the weekend. But we do apologize about that. Here are the headlines.
Uganda Premier League side Vipers SC have on Friday afternoon unveiled Roberto Oliveira Convasele Gonzalez former head coach Fred.
I'll get you those headlines very, very shortly. They should be coming your way, and we should be going on with the show as well. But let me quickly introduce the panel then that is joining us in studio right now. At the extreme left is Mr. Andrew Wangusha, a columnist with, of course, the Daily Monitor, and is also here to give us more details on the big headlines that should be coming your way tonight. Good evening, Andrew, and as always, welcome to the show.
Good evening, Andrew. I'm happy to be here.
And right next to him, like I said, is Innocent Ndaula. Innocent Ndaula, a man who has appeared on an older version of this show. You're making your debut to the press box. Good evening, and as always, welcome to the show.
Wow. Beautiful feeling to be here under the flashing lights.
Yeah.
And in the midst of 2 Andrews, I feel very innocent.
Wow. That was awesome again.
That's a nice one. All right, let's innocently then cross over to Tokyo, Japan, where Ismail Dakawa Chigongo is waiting for us to give us a quick feel about Uganda's performance currently at the Paralympics. I hope you can hear me. Good evening, Dakawa, and a warm welcome as always to the press box.
Good evening, Andrew, and thanks for hosting me. I hope you're doing very well back home.
We are doing fantastic. Ugandans who are hoping for medals from the Olympics. We got those medals. We are hoping for more medals from the Paralympics. It's not a bad start, has it?
It hasn't been a bad place to be because Uganda sent a team of 4 athletes to the ongoing Tokyo 2020 Paralympics. Those are David Emong, Husna Kukundakwe, Rita Simwe, and Peace Oroma. Of those, 2 of them have already competed. First was Husna Kukundakwe, who was swimming in the 100 meters breaststroke, where she finished 6th in her heat. Eventually didn't progress beyond the heats like could have been expected, but she's only 14 and she's been probably the biggest news to the media here. She's been interviewed more times than all Andrews and Innocent will ever be interviewed in their lives by all global media who are very interested in seeing how she started and swimming at the age of 14 at games as big as the Paralympics. But then thereafter, we've had Uganda's biggest Paralympian, that is David Emong, compete in his race, a 1,500 meters T46 race, and he finished 3rd to get a bronze behind a Russian, Alexander Eremuchuk. He got a wound that eventually had a huge blood stain, and actually he was running in pain. So the 3rd place finish for him was better than he actually imagined. Of course, not as good as I had envisioned, because I thought he could improve from his silver in 2016 onto a gold. Yeah, so it was a bit of a tough race for him, and you could almost sense after the race that David Emong was pleased with himself, but at least hoped that he wanted more. He actually told me in an interview that he felt he had trained to win gold, but that disturbance during the race where he was hit by a spike on his left knee disorganized him greatly. I also thought he got his tactics a bit wrong, and this is something I've shared with him. He stayed on the inside in a crowd of 12 runners, and that did not help his cause. By the time he opted to go and kick, that final kick for the final 400 meters, there was a lot of bodies to get through, and that did not help. But it's a bronze that David Emong is pleased with under the circumstances. And also it's a lot different for him. In Rio, he was Uganda's only Paralympian at the Games, and now the team is made of 4. So he has a lot of company. It's a bit like family for him here in Tokyo. Andrew, there's still 2 more Ugandans that are coming up.
Okay.
When you guys get off this set, in about 3 or 4 hours, I'll be leaving my hotel to head to the stadium to watch Peace Oroma. Peace Oroma is a visually impaired athlete. She's a student at Makerere studying a Bachelor of Science in Meteorology, and she's going to be running the 100 meters T13 hits. Oroma will be competing at the Olympics for the very first time, and this is only her 3rd international event. So she's currently unranked, but the experience of being at these games is something that she could not exchange for anything. So she's going to be Uganda's first sprinter at these games. And she's also registered for 2 races. After the 100-meter race that is coming up this morning here in Japan, she'll then return to the track later in the week in the 400 meters. So it's quite an experience for her. And probably for me, the biggest story coming out of Peace Oroma's race is something she told me in an interview. Actually, her mother, who resides in Gulu, called Joyce Abalo, is also blind, so she has never been able to watch her daughter run. So her mother will not be able to watch her the biggest event she's ever run. Then her father is a peasant farmer who does not have access to television like you and I. So even he, unless he travels several kilometers into Gulu town, she'll not be able to watch, he'll not be able to watch Peace Oroma. But that's a bit of all the stories that happened at the Paralympics. Everyone has quite a unique story.
Yeah.
But it was a bit touching for her when she was telling me about her mother is blind and wouldn't watch her. And also the fact that she was born like any other kid, but then started developing sight difficulties at the age of 7. And when she became an adult, that's when she decided to do something with her life, and sport was a solution. That's the thing that sport can do to lives. And Peace Oroma is going to live her dream to race at the Paralympics. The final athlete of the 4 is Rita Simwe. She's a para-badminton athlete. She'll start competing on Wednesday. She's one-armed, So I wait to see how she does her thing and her magic with just one arm hitting that shuttler. I've not seen many people who can even hit a shuttler with two hands. None of us on set or even in studio would be able to pull off. But that's the story of Uganda's Paralympians here in Tokyo.
That is fantastic, and of course, I mean, that's the magic of sport, Dakar. But just before I step away from you for a second, that is Team Uganda. The headlines or the highlights for you from other athletes at the games, someone has stood out for you, what the headlines have been?
My biggest headline has got to be watching the girl from Turkey. She's called Sumeya Buyachi. This girl is only 18 years old. She has no arms. And I saw her swim. She's like a dolphin. It's amazing. She tells the story of how while growing up and she realized she has no arms, she went to an aquarium with her parents and then saw how dolphins are able to swim without hands. And when I saw the story first online, I told myself, I have to go and watch her swim. I have to go and watch her swim. Eventually, when I did, I think for the entire duration of our race, the 100 meters, I think breaststroke, watching her swim, my mouth was open the entire time. I was gaping literally, just to experience a swimmer without hands. It's quite something. Andrew, there's been so many amazing stories. Of course, in terms of medals, the games are being dominated by China, Brazil, and the USA. But each one of these athletes has a unique story. I told you last week about my experience of watching an American, Max Truttman, who is an armless archer. This guy shoots a ball into that spot, into the bull's eye in that spot of archery, and he has no hands. He uses his feet, and the ball is perfect. And I'm always thinking, if you gave me one, I don't know whether I would even get it as far as the bull's eye or even the chart where they're shooting. So there's a lot of amazing stories. But if I have to pick just one, Sumeya Buyachi.
Okay.
She swims and she has no arms.
Okay, Ismail, just before I move, I want to give you a quick update from Kampala. Innocent Daula here has said he is now the acting head of sport at NMG, and reports from Namuwongo do suggest the paper has been doing fantastic while you were away. So, yeah, I'm just saying.
As the TV and the radio.
Yeah.
We're doing just fine.
No, we are doing just fine. There you go. We shall come back to you later on, my friend in Tokyo. Let me quickly cross over, though, to Andrew Mwangusha. It's a very busy week. You have so many headlines for us. But let's start off with the biggest. What's your starter this week?
Of course, it's a big week for Uganda Cranes.
Yep.
We all know that the last time the Cranes won a game was against South Sudan. That's 8 months ago.
Yep.
They had not scored a goal until yesterday, but in a defeat to Ethiopia. That was one of the friendlies that the Cranes coach, Micho Srejovic, has lined up ahead of the World Cup qualifier on Thursday against Kenya. So yesterday, a 2-1 defeat looks a credible scoreline, but from one of our friends, David Isabire, who is actually traveling with the Cranes, we were outpaced, outthought, outpossessed, and outscored. The fitness levels showed that actually they were low. And Micho did admit at the end of the match that actually they were exposed, same as the captain, Emmanuel Okwi. And he had hoped he would get another friendly against Sierra Leone, who were in Ethiopia for a friendly with Ethiopia. Of course, they both qualified for the AFCON 2021. Unfortunately, Sierra Leone immediately flew back after their goalless draw with Ethiopia on Thursday. So that leaves the Micho with actually just training sessions to prepare for Kenya. Now, we all know the last visit to Kenya, it was a goalless draw. I remember that match vividly. Geoffrey Massa could have scored. One of our other lead strikers, Sepuya, played most of his football on the corner flag. And we then, of course, you know what happened at Nambole. So we are hoping for the best. I was joking with friends, basketball, who were saying we should have beaten South Sudan and, faced Kenya. but now we lost and we are facing Nigeria.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I think that's far too much of a risk lining up Kenya in basketball and Kenya on Thursday.
Yeah.
It could get it could be very disastrous on social media. So let's face Nigeria, and then we shall see how this one goes. But of course, the team that traveled, because Micho now had to go and look at the players who are comfortable, players who showed they could actually put up a game against Kenya. Tadeo Luanga has been ruled out with injury, so he's been one of the 5 who have been released. There's also youngster Kenneth Samakula, but Abdul Mala is out for this one, being released. Then we have, as well as, then you have, of course, Halid Awucho coming back. We all know what happened. I thought that was something interesting when he came back. So yeah, 5 players are released, and of course now they've moved this evening. They've actually traveled to Kenya. So the game is on Thursday, and 4 days later we play Mali, but it's a very busy 3 months for the Cranes. 6 group games between Thursday and November. So it's huge, and of course it's important that we get started on the right note. I do not think we've prepared well for it, but at the end of the day, it's the nature of the current pandemic and the lockdown, so we have to see how it goes.
There you go. Later on in the show, we shall be having the cricket president, Michael Nwagaba, on the show, and also a former captain in Davis Karashan joining us. But before they come in, Innocent Daula, who is supposed to talk lots of cricket, is here as well. You must be happy that Milton Micho-Sredojevic is back, first of all, to the Uganda Cranes fold. He knows the players, he knows the region, but also you must be wondering as a journalist how much pressure he's under. He must win against Kenya.
Well, we know very well the track record Micho has all over the African continent. He's a man who spits names and players off his fingertips and flashes everything that comes into his hindsight easily. But we know very well Micho has not had the returns he's wanted to have, especially with Zambia before he came here. And this job he gets in Uganda is like a second chance at your ex. You don't want to be with your ex and not in the good books. So Micho is here, and then he has to rectify the wrongs that have happened. Many of the players are looking at Micho as their second chance to with the national team. You've had players like Majwega coming out openly to say to the whole world how he's happy that he's back home. But Micho now starts with the loss to Tanzania. We could only peep
Ethiopia.
With Ethiopia, and we could only peep the Ethiopian champions 1-0 in a warm-up before we played them on Sunday, the Ethiopian side. And then moving on to Kenya, it's a big fuss for me because I get so emotional when playing against Kenya. It's from Mijingo Derby to Elgon Cup in rugby, and now cricket. There's a Derby Trophy to play in cricket as well this weekend. So if you lose to Kenya in cricket, then you lose to Kenya in football, and you lose to Kenya as well.
It will be crazy.
It's a meltdown. It's a meltdown. You don't want to have to face the Kenyans, especially on the shows in these trying times.
You don't want to. Very shortly, I'll be crossing over to Kigali to catch up with Mark Sally. But we have confirmation that we have the headlines now, folks. Let's quickly take you through what exactly has made their way to our script, the biggest stories from the world of sport this week. Here they are.
Uganda Premier League side Vipers SC have on Friday afternoon unveiled Roberto Oliveira Convasele Gonzalez Docamo as their new head coach. The appointment ends a series of stories about the club's next coach within both mainstream and online media. Robertinho, as he is commonly known, is a 60-year-old who played in various clubs including Flamengo in Brazil Serie A. The new coach at Chitende joined.
There you go. Cristiano Ronaldo, just to remind you tonight, is a Manchester United player. I just wanted to put that out. And he will be putting on red for the next season. There is another man who is putting on red in Kigali. That is Mark Sally. But just before I cross over to him, let me quickly show you what Mark Sally has been up to in Kigali. There you go. Let's quickly join up with Mark Sally then, who is live for us in Rwanda's capital, where the Afro basket is suddenly going on. Mark, there you go. We've just seen a video of you dancing at the court, and by those pictures, you're having a good time, aren't you? Mark, can you hear me? Mark Sally, I don't know if you can hear me. Yeah, please unmute your audio so we can talk. Can you hear me? Yeah, but I think there's feedback coming from your side, Mark. I don't know if you're watching the show right next to you. We should maybe reduce the volume on whichever device you have right next to you. I was just saying, we've just looked at your video dancing on the court in Kigali. Unlike the Ugandan team, which has lost 2 games and won 1, you seem to be having a better time.
But how is that now?
It's clear now. Go on.
Is that okay?
Yep, it's very okay, Mark. Please, we can hear you. Go on.
Okay, there was a scout sitting next to me with their laptop open. I think that's what the sound you're getting. So, Andrew, what do you want from me now?
There you go. Like I said, Mark, I'm asking you this question for the 3rd time, which is quite embarrassing for a host. We've just seen a video of you dancing on the court. You're having a good time in Kigali.
Absolutely. I've been having a good time. Basketball is a drug, you know. It just grows on you, and it causes all sorts of problems with obsession. Yeah, there's been some very good basketball done in Kigali here, so I've been enjoying myself. And the fact that Silverbacks have been doing very well on court has meant that I was enjoying even more. I know you will think that we've got 2 losses and a win, but one of the losses was quite close, and also but the win had ensured already that we had qualified for the next round. So we're not one of the few teams that have packed up their bags and left early. 4 teams, of course, were knocked out in the group stages, and they couldn't continue. We had Mali, we had DR Congo, we had Central African Republic as well. So a few teams have left already, and we are still here. So it's been quite good. And today also in the quarterfinal playoff games, there's a few teams that have been knocked out. Egypt and Rwanda, and Uganda is still in the tournament. So yeah, I've been enjoying myself quite a bit.
2 things, Mark. One of those is explain to a Ugandan normal basketball fan how we are losing 2, winning 1 and making it to the quarterfinal. But secondly, do you understand when some Ugandans say they would rather have played Kenya and not Nigeria?
Yeah, I understand where they're coming from. Look, what happened is that the format was such that we had 4 groups, and all the group winners, the 4 group winners went straight into the quarterfinals. So that meant that Tunisia and Cote d'Ivoire, as well as Cape Verde and Senegal, went straight to the quarterfinals. The teams that finished 2nd and 3rd in each has Guinea game. So,
Mark,
yeah.
I just have 2 more questions for you. One is from Innocent. The other one will be from Mwangusha before we can move on.
Mark, I'm very happy. I see you got your moves on. You're dancing like Bruno Mars, and you got the world at your feet. But the basketball is like a sweet science, like boxing. The guys on the court did look like they wanted to move the ball as much as wanted them to move it in the final quarter against South Sudan. I have listened to George Galanopoulos as much as we've listened to him and Mike. We've been lucky the Ugandans have listened to him in the timeouts. And this man speaks a big game. He's an inspirational, extraordinary. And then he says these things that the players like to hear. How much more motivation our players did. And then, do we rely on certain players at certain times? Do we step off the gas? And where is the extra motivation that these players can actually drive from themselves? Because we're playing like a team that has been training for eternity, yet in the actual sense, we only met up in Kigali for, say, a party.
So you're saying extra, where the extra motivation is coming from?
Yeah, because George has said everything there is to say in the world to these guys. The Ish doesn't need extra motivation. He's at Toronto Raptors. Dengel was playing in South Sudan. He had all the booze and kept shooting for fun. You have all these guys, the Tondrelebas, the Dengels, the Titus Odeke, who have not had a chance to play, the Ben Kumaketes. Jimmy Enabu has been dancing on the floor. But the guys are not dancing as good as you were dancing like Bruno Mars. That's my worry, actually. Where do our players find the motivation to play against a Nigerian side that is missing the players that beat up the dream team in the US warm-ups, at the Olympics warm-ups? Because we know this US team doesn't have the guys who played at the Olympics. But where does our team get the motivation, the extra push? Because that's what the Ugandan fan is looking for. The Ugandan fan will not remember that Uganda was only coming to the tournament with little practice.
And listen, I don't know who recorded that video. Whoever did that recording killed me, because I was in a moment. It was my moment, and I didn't think it was supposed to be for the world out there. But hey, it happened. It's already gone out there, and everybody is all over me for my dance moves. But as far as the team and motivation is concerned, you have no worries there. There's so many of the guys on our team have got a personal ambition that they're chasing after. Most of the guys, though, what brings them together is the fact that they're playing for Uganda. They're guys who, we have 3 guys from the US and 3 guys from Canada, all of them with roots in Uganda, whose parents were born and grew up in Uganda. Some of the guys actually even themselves lived in Uganda for a short while, like Dengu, you're talking about, who came out of Namuwongo, out of the neighborhood of Namuwongo. These guys are so proud who's up in Canada. And the story goes on and on about these Ugandan players who are based in the US and Canada. So, and then, of course, you've got Ishmael Wainwright, a guy who's proud of the Ugandan passport and who for whom that passport has done great things. Now he's into the NBA. He knows the kind of fan club he has in Uganda, and how Uganda has pushed him to the next levels. The performances he had in Alexandria against Cape Verde and Morocco and Egypt when we were trying to qualify, and then also against Morocco in Morocco.
Okay.
Those performances contributed to the scouting report that has got him into the Toronto Raptors and on a huge contract. These guys love Uganda because what it has done for them, and yet we are supposed to be the ones who owe them because of what they've done for Ugandan basketball.
Okay.
So the extra motivation, don't worry about. And as far as talent and versatility is concerned, I've told you this before on the show, and I repeat it. This is the biggest, the best talented 12-man roster that we've had in Ugandan national team history, where you have 9 out of the 12 guys would be comfortable as on a basketball team, and yet we start 5. 2 of the guys who are now part of the start 5, and that is Robinson Okong and 2 brothers, Adam and Arthur, Kaluma and Seiko. And so these guys, when they step on court, they play like starters. And Kiran Ziwa, he'll be comfortable playing as a starting point for Uganda, as you can see how it is. So that is the kind of versatility we have on our team, the kind of we have on the team. So they are motivated, extra motivated. They want to do this for Uganda. Their coaches love Uganda. We've talked about Mark Schmitz, who's an NBA scout and our assistant coach. He sits on the ESPN to talk basketball with the best basketball minds in America. And he's putting on a Ugandan shirt or putting it in the background where it can be seen by the entire world. That's how proud he is to be part of the Ugandan basketball program. So motivation, no worries. Skill set, no worries. Competitiveness at heart, no worries. What you have to worry about is the size we give up on other teams, but nothing else.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. We shall definitely cross back to you at some point. We are now going to take a quick commercial break. But when we come back from this break, at the beginning, I talked about a very scary document that Uganda has received from Kigali. The president of FUBA, Nasa Serunjoji, will be joining us on the line. And as you go into that break, let me just remind you that Uganda's national side, the Silverbacks, might not have where to sleep tonight. Quite embarrassing. Welcome back. You're still watching the Press Box, and we're live from the Kampala Serena Hotel. We are proudly powered by DSTV, which is making sure you enjoy a fantastic summer of sport. I mean, we're fresh from the Olympics. The Paralympics are on now. You've got cricket, you've got Formula One, you've got the Premier League returning, you've got the Spanish La Liga. There's so much football that SuperSport is bringing your way. Plus, they've got ESPN, meaning you can watch the not only the NBA, but you can also watch American football, that is American soccer. I'm talking about the Scottish Premier League as well. So go get yourself that bouquet with DSTV so you can enjoy the home entertainment. Not just for you, but the children as well, because there's so much news and the cartoons. And of course, we are proudly powered by Guinness, the finest beer you can have on an evening like this one. Also, one that welcomes you to the table of men. But please make sure you're 18 years of age, and please do drink responsibly. All right, let's quickly cross back to Kigali, Rwanda now to join the FUBA president, Mr. Nasa Serunjoji, who's got a very interesting interview with us tonight. It's probably one of the most comfortable for those who have been looking for funding to be increased in Ugandan sport. Mr. Serunjoji, first of all, good evening and a warm welcome to the Press Box.
Good evening, Andrew. Good evening, everyone at the press box. Thank you very much for hosting me this evening.
Fantastic. Let me start with first things first. I'm hoping you're doing this interview in your room, or is that at the reception or at the lobby? Because I'm not sure you have where to sleep tonight.
I am actually doing it at the lobby right now.
Oh. Okay, that's quite scary. Maybe you're there for a better internet connection. Let's start right here. First of all, how are the games? How happy are you with Uganda's performance at the AfroBasket?
The games are quite okay. We've played 3 games, lost 2, won 1 game. We beat Cameroon, lost to South Sudan yesterday, and Senegal the other day. So far so good, because we had our first win at AfroBasket and qualifying for the second round for the first time, with the possibility of us making the quarterfinals. So for me, this is very impressive. This is good. Amidst all the challenges and the financial, issues we've had over a couple of weeks, the performance is really good so far.
As a Ugandan, I'm definitely celebrating Uganda's performances so far. But Mr. President, you've written a letter, right? And I'm going to flash it on the screen now. A letter in which you've copied the Honorable Minister of State for Sport, the Chairman, National Council of Sports, and the General Secretary, National Council of Sports. In this letter, you are talking about how the Silverbacks are going to be thrown out of their hotel. They don't have money to pay for the hotel, a team that is out there to represent Uganda. Let me start here. A few weeks ago, you were seen on video receiving a sack of money from Mr. Patrick Ogwer at the National Council of Sports. Mr. Serunjoji, where has the money gone?
Andrew, I think everyone reading our story today is wondering. We saw this guy being given a sack of money by the General Secretary of the National Council of Sports, and at the same time, they're here crying out for help. What happened to that money? Quickly, we have always told people that at the time when we went for the Morocco qualifier, the government didn't give us money because we were told by NCS that they didn't have money. But we told them that we are not pulling out of this tournament. As a federation, we are going to do everything that is possible to make sure that the team travels to Morocco, because we were very confident, we were sure that we shall go to Morocco, win and qualify for the AfroBasket. So we told them that we are going to borrow money and take this team to Morocco. When we come back, we shall sort out those issues. But for now, we can't afford to pull out. So we managed to go there, won our game, qualified for AfroBasket. Now, when we came back, of course, we presented all our expenses to National Council of Sports and demanded a reimbursement for those expenses, which didn't come. Then, the AfroBasket was also around the corner. So we presented our budgets for the finals. So we had talks behind the scenes with NCS over this money. And at the end of the day, when money came, of course, after making so many pleas around, they gave us 340 million shillings, which money came directly from government. It didn't even come from the NCS account, but it came directly from government. You all remember the tweet made by the first son that he was going to talk to the senior minister, to sort our issue, which indeed happened. So we told NCS that, okay, we have received this money purportedly for the Kigali trip, but remember, we have a debt to clear. So as a federation, we sat down and, discussed this issue. We said, do we take the team to Kigali or we pay the debt? Because this debt was accumulating interest. We were in the dilemma. We didn't know what to do at the time, because you take the team to Kigali and you don't pay the debt, the money is accumulating interest. And to be clear on this issue, the person who lent us money, the so-called money lender, is the same person who usually gives us tickets on credit. Not even usually, always. For all the trips that we have participated in for this campaign or even before, NCS has never given us money on time. This should be on record. They have never given us money on time. All the time, for this qualifier for the AfroBasket, the money has come after we have played the games, when we come back here. So you wonder, where do you get money for the tickets? Where do you get money for accommodation and everything? This has been the same story.
Yeah.
But because we've had a good understanding with these people, we have a ticketing agent who gives us tickets on credit. We take the team and pay after a month or two when the money comes in. So this is the same person who gave us money to go to Morocco. He gave us tickets worth about $40,000. He gave us cash, 60,000 US dollars, to be able to take this team to Morocco and qualify. So you're here being given 340 million shillings to go to Kigali, and this is the same guy who is supposed to give you the tickets to go to Kigali. What do? Do you abandon him, go and get tickets from another agent, or you have to go back to the same guy and tell him, look, here is the money, we've been given the money, but we don't know what to do because we don't have the money to pay the debt.
Nasser,
so let me explain this clearly, such that people get to understand.
Okay,
so
go on.
What happened is that we had to pay the debt so that we can get tickets on credit to bring the team to Kigali. Okay, that's the decision that we made. We said, okay, let's clear the debt, get the tickets to bring the team to Kigali, and then we still pursue the money from government and NCS. So we've been talking to these people. I've been engaging the Honorable Minister of State for Sports, Honorable Hamson Obua. I've been engaging Dr. Don Lukare. I've been engaging Dr. Bernard Ogwell behind the scenes on this issue until we reached a point where we were given, timelines when to clear the bills here. We came here without a single coin. We bought tickets on credit. We've been telling people here that money is coming, we shall sort out the issue, until we've reached a point when we have run out of excuses. And we had to write this letter to the senior minister through the Honorable Minister of State for Sports, to amplify our situation. Probably some people out there might be thinking that, you know how sports leaders have been labeled back in Kampala. People might think that we just want to eat money. We were given money to come to Kigali, then why are we crying for money at the same time? But that is the situation we are in at the
that's
moment.
my point. Nasser,
there is a possibility that we might not play the game tomorrow because we were given an ultimatum. We either pay the money or we get kicked out of the tournament.
Yeah, and that's where my next question comes in. Two things. One is that letter that we've just splashed on the screen says your deadline was yesterday, the 29th, or you would have to leave the hotel. So first of all, where is Uganda's national basketball team, the Silverbacks, sleeping tonight? And secondly, if that money doesn't come, are we going to have our flag thrown out of the hotel? But as you answer that, I just got a response from the National Council of Sports Secretary General, Mr. Patrick Ogwell, and I don't... Doctor. And I don't think they fully understand where you're coming from, because he says, firstly, FUBA was paid 100% on their request for the AfroBasket finals in Kigali, but again, the National Council of Sports paid additional 105 million just for the preps. It's unfair behavior to the National Council of Sports and government. He goes on to say, lastly, the 234 million was all FUBA wanted for the Kigali trip. According to government, you were given the money. So the old credit doesn't seem to make any sense. But start with the fact that the team has somewhere to sleep tonight.
Of course, we are still negotiating with these people here. We are convincing them that money will eventually come. They are understanding people. They are human beings. So we have been given deadlines, but of course we are still, in talks with them because we've had a good relationship, and we are still convincing them that please bear with us. We are sorting out this issue. The money will come anytime. But I'm telling you, by tomorrow, if we don't have this money, the chances are very high that we might not even play the Nigeria game. So that is the situation. Let me quickly respond to what Dr. Bernard Ogwell is saying, that we were supported 100%. Why don't they want to talk about the Morocco trip? Each time we bring up this issue, I have engaged the Honorable Minister of State for Sports, I've engaged Dr. Bernard Ogwell. Each time we bring up the Morocco issue, they tell us who sanctioned the Morocco trip. Who sanctioned the borrowing? Who told you to go and borrow money? I wonder, are these really people concerned about sports? You're asking us who sanctioned the Morocco trip, but you're the same people at the same time telling us that we supported the Kigali trip 100%. Yep. So how do you deny the qualification, and at the same time you want to claim that you supported the final tour? You cannot approbate and reprobate at the same time. Yeah. I mean, let them acknowledge the fact that we went to Morocco, we were not given money, and that money should be reimbursed for us to be in a clear state of mind and focus on the game.
Look, you've said something that is quite interesting, and I just want to repeat it for clarity. I think it's quite interesting that someone does not support the qualification campaign and wants to support the final tournament. That alone is quite interesting. But we need to move on. I just have two final questions for you. One is from Innocent Ndaula, who is here. Innocent, please go on.
Nasa Serenjoji Council, Senior Council. I find it a bit baffling in the sense that FUBA is out there with a begging plate. Did FUBA, my questions come simple. I don't want to look like from the other side. I am with you in this struggle, because Uganda is all about the struggle. If you don't enjoy it every day, then you don't belong to the country. Quickly, did FUBA just know about these engagements recently? That's one. Forgive the pandemic happenings. Then two, isn't this an indictment on your leadership as the FUBA president, that you've been unable to go out there and seek the well-wishers? We know so many well-wishers in basketball. I won't be mentioning the well-wishers tonight on the show because it's not my show. That we are unable. Let me finish, Nasa. Because basketball had goodwill from all over the world. In Uganda especially, we had corporate sponsors running to the basketball and willing to sponsor the basketball. How come the national team reaches this state of groveling for peanuts, which I would call 100 million is peanuts? Any corporate company in Uganda today, even the poorest of them all, I won't mention the name again, is willing to give 100 million. So isn't this an indictment on your leadership that we cannot get this? You are in Kigali with a government representative. What is his role in helping you bridge this gap? You're burning the bridges. You will need the NCS at the end of the day. You're going to look into Dr. Gweli's face again. He was with you in FUBA before. He's been working with the federations before. So you don't want to burn all these bridges. How do you make this process a healing process and a one that yields results without making everybody look guilty?
Thank you very much, Innocent. Quickly, let me tell you, first of all, we submit our plans to National Council of Sports like 2 years before. You know, they request for your budgets, they request for your activity calendars and everything for the next 2 years. And as I speak now, we have already submitted, we submitted until up to 2022, our program. So these things do not just fall. We do not just wake up in the morning and, say that we have this activity. We submit the activity plans way before in time. Now, secondly, when you talk about the well-wishers and the goodwill out there, during this period between, I think, July and August, we had the qualifying game in Morocco. We had the AfroBasket qualifier for the Gazelles. We had the under-16s AfroBasket finals, boys and girls. We had the AfroBasket in Kigali. Now, for the qualifiers, for the Gazelles, we pulled out because we didn't have money. It happened at the same time when the Silverbacks were traveling to Morocco. We made a priority and said, okay, for the Silverbacks, because we had moved a step ahead and we were one game away from qualifying, we shall borrow money for that trip. We had the under-16s that went to Cairo and competed very well, both boys and girls. Our girls missed out on the bronze. They qualified for the semifinals and lost to Algeria by 2 points. We did not receive a single coin from NCS. That trip alone for the under-16 cost us about $60,000 US. We did not receive a single coin from NCS. Where did we get the money? We reached out to these corporate sponsors and they supported our teams. So it is not that we are sitting back and only relying on government. We try to do what we can.
Okay.
We run a national league that has 3 divisions. We don't get money from government. We have sponsors that we work with, you know, but national teams must be a responsibility of the government. All national teams playing at the continental and world level must be a responsibility of the government.
Okay.
Before you rush to corporate sponsors and all that, the government must take responsibility of the national teams. Now, you're talking about burning bridges and all that. Yeah, Innocent, you know me very well, and I mean, I am not the kind of person who would like to come on TV, on radio, and start ranting about, you know, all these, you know, things happening around. Basketball has always been a sport that is not involved in all this kind of fracas. But why are we here today? We have been pushed to the wall and we have been left with no option. I can guarantee you that we have had talks behind the scenes with these people. By the time I come out and write a letter to that effect, just know that that's the last bullet that I had in the chamber. But I have done whatever it takes to keep this away from the team, to keep this away from the media, and I am not the kind of person who is interested in media attention.
Okay.
But by the time I get to this point, just know it is beyond what we can do at the moment.
I want to let you go, but my final question, let me start here. First of all, this discussion is embarrassing. Let me start right there. This discussion is embarrassing that we have a national team in Kigali that has taken Uganda's flag so high. We have a player in the NBA now, guys. We have a player in the NBA, and the National Basketball Association at home cannot have money to fund continental trips. So it's embarrassing. Let's start right there. But finally, you had one bullet in the chamber. You've released that bullet. You have maybe a few hours sleep in that hotel now. Have you had a response from the government officials here in Uganda? And if you don't get a response from the government officials by tomorrow morning, should we head to Entebbe to welcome the team?
Of course, if we fail, right now we haven't had any positive response from the government back home. And if we don't get a positive response by tomorrow, we shall just look on and let everything take its course. I mean, we have nothing much to do. We shall let everything take its course. If we are kicked out of the tournament, be it. If we are kicked out of the hotel, if we are locked in here, and, you know, we are not allowed to move to go back home, let it be. What can we do? We have done what is within our means, and there's nothing that we can do.
Nasa, interestingly, I said it was one question. Just a final question. Just like Ndaula was saying, how do we even solve this moving forward? Because you just said there is a calendar that is given to government in time. They should be finding that money and funding the national team. Well, here we are now. The team could be locked out of a hotel or could be locked inside the hotel. We might not play games. How do we make sure this kind of situation does not happen in the future, Nasa?
This is very simple, Andrew. This is very simple. The government should invest more money in sports. Each federation should be given a budget of its own that is ring-fenced, that I know that basketball, every financial year, I am entitled to 5 billion shillings that I can plan for. I plan for my activities, then I choose my priorities. I know where to go to and where not to go to. So this is the solution. We can't keep on begging all the time. When you have an event and you submit a budget, they tell you we don't have money, there's this and that. Let's have a clear budget for each federation. You know that this is how much you're entitled to for this particular financial year. Then you plan accordingly.
Nasa Serunjoji, the president of FUBA, thank you very much for joining us on the press box tonight. We pray and hope that you have a positive response from government by 3 a.m. tonight, so at least we can have some of those bills paid in Kigali. Otherwise, I want to wish the boys the very best. I mean, they have made it to the quarterfinals. They are doing their side of the story. Asante sana, my friend. Urakoze.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
Cheers. There you go. That is Nasa Serunjoji, the president of FUBA, giving us a detail about the plight of Uganda's national basketball side, the Silverbacks. They are in Kigali, and they easily could be kicked out of their hotel because they do not have the money. All right. Let's talk about more money now in sport, because I'm joined by quite very, very influential people in Uganda's cricket. Let me start off with the man at the very extreme, the president, that is Uganda Cricket Association, Michael Nwagawa. First of all, good evening, and as always, welcome to the show.
Good evening, Andrew. And
fantastic. You're making your debut. We hope it's not a duck. We hope you do well. Right next to you is the former captain of the national side. He has so many details to give us, because the information is that he's back in the fold. Whether he will force the armband back to himself, we shall discuss that.
Andrew, I'm fine. Let's go on to the next topic. I'm all right, Andrew.
Karashad, I'm the host of the show here, my friend.
Apologies.
But good evening, and as always, warm welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. So it's a great time to be here. So thanks for the opportunity yet again.
Fantastic. When you hear stories like those, Karashad, I'll start off with you. You're a player, you're a former player, you're a player. When you hear stories like those of a national team abroad without funds to be kicked out of a hotel, how do you feel?
Well, for me, it's extremely painful. Speaking from a player perspective, it's very, very sad. You spare thought for the players, because these are guys who are being asked tomorrow to take on the top team in Africa. They're trying to get into the actual quarterfinal. Yet at the back of their minds, they're not too sure if they'll find their luggage when they return from the game. I think we're asking for a bit too much from the players, but all hats off to them for them putting up some of these performances.
First of all, good evening and welcome to the show. Just before we jump into the details, you're fresh in the seat. When you hear NASA's talk about financial problems in Ugandan sport, it must be a discussion you're having on your own. The first few days you've been in the office, how is it? How financially stable is Uganda's cricket?
I think the facts that have to be stated. Funds will always be limited. So what it comes down to is how prudent you get. We've been on this journey for about 3 years. We were in the same situation like any other federation. You know, taking a team abroad and you have to borrow. You have to take deliberate steps.
Of the fish is rotten.
Yeah.
And this is the administration. And you can't hide away from this, because some guys come in there, they want to be on the back pages. We've seen it happen. Boxing.
My director is telling me your microphone is having a problem. They're shortly coming to sort it out. I think you're speaking too much as well. But let me quickly move to Davis. First of all, Davis, let's get the big elephant out of the room. Are you still retired? And if you're not retired, are you coming back to play?
Andrew, I was having that exact discussion with a classmate of mine, and it was one that I unfortunately had to tell him that right now I'm not available. I've made myself unavailable. I have work and school commitments that cannot allow me to come back and play for the national team right now. However, I've also stated before that just when, I know I put on a bit of weight, but just when I'm going to retire, you guys will probably be the first people to know about it. But for me, really, stating it clearly, first and foremost, we must understand that I'm neither the spokesperson of the association, neither am I the spokesperson of the national teams. However, I am also, I don't know, a person doesn't need to be the PR of Arsenal or Manchester United to know that Arsenal are in dire times and Man U are doing well. But speaking from a player perspective, you just have to feel for, again, as I said, the Silverbacks. Because I've always said before that an athlete only has, his career only lasts not more than 15 years, unless you're Frank Nsobga or Stephen Omo, the Stephen Moynes of this world. But generally speaking, you have just about 15 years to try and pave out a thorough career that can last a lifetime. So for me, most times we rely on the administrators to get things right. They have just one job. The one job they have is to get things right, because they carry the hands and the livelihoods of guys who have a career of only 15 years. So for me, it's absolutely sad to see the Silverbacks go out there. I know they have managed to thrive off the adversity. They have gone into an Afro basketball tournament without much training, without much resources, as of course Saran George is saying. But for them to go out there and put their bodies on the line and pick up a big win against a country like Cameroon, unfortunately lose to, of course, South Sudan last night, which was very painful. For me, I just feel the pain. I can imagine the tossing and turning in their beds.
You haven't answered my question, though.
No, again, as I said, when I'm going to retire, I will certainly let you guys know.
Okay, because now the most interesting thing that I would want to move on to the president is when we hear stories of legendary players, really, like Karashan coming back to the fold, there are question marks about the timing belt. There are question marks about the conveyor belt in Uganda's cricket. Youngsters like Zephania are not in the current team. He's stifling competition. He shouldn't be coming back. How happy are you that he's even thinking about coming back?
I think looking at it from the other side is, if someone is willing to come back, it means it's a good place.
You're going political with this, aren't you?
No, it means it's a good place. No one goes back to a bad place. That's a fact. So taking the feedback, it's a good place.
Okay.
And he's always welcome if he makes that choice.
Yeah. Okay. Your mic is now fine, and that is why, because Ndaula is my shock absorber here. I feel like he's going to be honest with me throughout this discussion. According to what you hear, is he coming back? And if he's coming back, what does that mean for the youngsters in the team? But more interestingly, how happy are you, Ndaula, with the current generation, the youngsters that are coming through for Uganda's cricket?
I must tell you that Uganda cricket is in a very good place.
Yeah.
I wish so many other associations were in the place that Uganda cricket is currently lying in. With players like Davis Karashan putting up their hand, offering themselves and saying, we are willing to be part of the fold of Lawrence Matlane. Matlane is the coach from South Africa, now is the head coach. And it tells you that there's a system and their processes. The older guys are willing to offer mentorship to the younger guys to teach them the few things, the basics of the game, and what it means to play at the national fold. Davis Karashadi won everything there is to win in the associate cricket. Yeah. I rate him as much as I rate Paras Kadka, the captain of Nepal, who is going to do politics now. Yeah. One day, hopefully, you wear a political hat too, because you'll make a good politician, Davis. Yeah. Away from that, though, I tell you this because in Uganda today, when Matlane walked in, he was given a list of 20 to train with. He flashed the list. He said, he made all the noise in the reason the world. He said, everyone who thinks can hold a bat, please stand up in Lugogo. He had 40 people. Today, the national team setup is comprised of 30 people who can play and walk in and walk out of the national team at any time. So it's a mission of availability. Yeah. Karashan is not a rabbit with a bat or a ball in hand. If he walked into the side, he will play. Yeah. And everybody knows that Karashani all needs to do is to be available, because even the captain, Brian Masaba, would like to flash off some ideas of Davis. Yeah.
It's an interesting one, but as I move to the president, is it interesting that we talk about the funding that FUBA is going through and you have two coaches? Why do you have two coaches if we're talking about funding of national sides? Mulina sente about cricket.
Not really. Yeah. The idea is one. Where do you want to go and how do you want to get there? We're currently ranked 32nd in the world for the men, and 19th for the ladies. Yeah. Our goal is ODI status. You cannot get there if you do not behave and act like the guys who are there. So it's not an issue of flashing, but it's an issue of getting the right systems, the right people, and the right facilities in the right place to get us where we want to get.
Okay. We don't have a home. Uganda cricket has no home. So we're not acting as an ODI.
I wouldn't say we do not have a home. Yeah. Uganda is unique. When you go anywhere else, it's a setup where clubs actually own grounds. Yeah. Now in Uganda, it's the other way around. We don't have clubs owning grounds, and all the grounds we keep using are actually owned by other associations or institutions. For a fact on grounds, we have only 4 grass wickets in Uganda: Lugogo, Chambogo, Entebbe, and Jinja, which we are revamping. Yeah. We have 15 astroturfs, and all these are in schools. So if you're going to go into spreading the game and scaling out, you need more facilities. And who is the guy who has to run point on this? It has to be the association. Yeah. Then the clubs pick a leaf from that, and that way you can have more grounds, more playing time, and more schools joining in.
I'll be crossing over to Ismail Dakawa Chigongo, who is in Tokyo, and we shall be speaking to him shortly. But just before we do that, Davis, I'm always interested in the generation that is always coming in and where Ugandan cricket is at the moment. How happy are you with the current setup, but also with the pool, really with the pool?
Well, for me, again, we must remember that Uganda hasn't been at the Under-19 World Cup, I think, in over a decade, which used to be a massive conveyor belt for us. So for me, but when you look back at what is going on right now, I'm sure that, as you must be knowing, the Under-19s are in preparations to go to Rwanda and try and get back into the World Cup. I've had a look at them, and they look decent enough. You know, underage cricket is basically about being as basic as possible and make sure you can win the game on the day. But for me, generally speaking, as an individual, I'm happy with the progress, especially the youngsters look like they have a decent understanding of the sport. You talked about the conveyor belt in terms of course, Uganda cricket. Yeah. Ask the older guys, of course, being available or not. But what I was saying is that for me, I always was one of those people that believed in the best 14 taking the field for the country, being the ones to represent the country regardless of age. However, I'm also a massive believer as well in transition. because you need to prepare for the time that the older guys, as you said, will not be around. So the older guys need to be around to pass on the skills to the younger ones.
Yeah.
And for me, that is what is going on. You must remember yet again that I think in about a week's time, Uganda will be hosting two other countries in this country to play that kind of series. In that kind of series where it gives an opportunity to the youngsters to showcase their talents, to showcase what they've learned from what the coach has provided to them. So for me, again, I'm a believer in processes. We're on this set today, but the under 19 of badminton today, or the other day, they won bronze at the All Africa. So for me, processes are very, very important. I'm meant to understand the volleyball team as well is in Rwanda. They haven't yet served a single ball yet, but they're one of those associations that have not come out to massively tell us about what is going on, but wish them the very best. But my point generally is that the conveyor belts in Uganda sport must exist.
Yeah. Mr. President, we have preparations. Like you said, we have ladies going to Botswana, we have folks going to Kigali. Just take us through the preparations. How ready are we and how excited are you? And maybe I should just drop in there something we have not talked about since the show started. Do you have enough money for the hotels?
Yes, Andrew, we've been planning for this.
Yeah.
At one point, life had to take priority against livelihoods. So we had to have a halt on all activities. So we pulled back the teams beginning of mid last month into camp.
Yeah.
And as we speak, we have 2 teams already in bubbles, separate bubbles. And the third one should be joining in a week's time.
Yeah.
So preparations for this started last year. So this is not something that we weren't prepared for. And I think we have the facilities to ensure that we run reasonably and in a secure environment.
Yeah.
So yes, we are set. And of course, with any training, it's impacting you with knowledge and skill.
Yeah.
But then you need the outing to actually now take the skill out.
Yeah.
So the games coming up, we have Kenya coming in 10 days. We have Nigeria coming through in another 10 days. We have the girls leaving in 7-8 days. They are going to Gabon. This should be able to help us in their ranking in line with our ODI status.
Yeah.
We have the gents going out in October, a big tournament for us, and that as well in line with our ODI status.
Yeah.
We have our youngsters, the coming up guys, the under 19s as well. They have an engagement. So quarter 4 of this year is really, really action-packed for us.
I don't know if you have anything that you are requesting from government as well, because you have 2 members on the National Council of Sports Board, but we shall discuss that shortly. Innocent, we should talk about 2024. Cricket will be there. That should be very exciting for Ugandan cricket. But let me just quickly, first of all, cross over to Tokyo, where Ismail Dakawa is standing by. Dakawa, I hope you can hear me. The discussion is quite interesting. I'm calmer now because we're talking cricket, and they seem to have their house in order ahead of crucial games for the national teams. But you just heard what exactly was happening in Kigali. How happy are you then that cricket seems to be on the right path?
You've got to give a lot of credit to, first of all, the conveyor belt that brings leaders into cricket. One of the things I've noticed in my lifetime, and this is over 20 years of following Ugandan cricket, is the fact that their leaders do not fall from the trees. They seem to be honed over a period of time for them to get into those leadership positions. Nwagaba there has been in and around Uganda Cricket Association for some time. So by the time they take the mantle of leadership, I think the mentorship has helped a great deal. Also, maybe the chairman of Uganda Cricket Association would tell you they've got a lot of support from the International Cricket Council and Africa Cricket Association. And one of the things you've got to give them credit for is that all these funds they get, they are using them for the right purposes. Not too long ago, I had a chance to interview Nwagaba, Mr. Nwagaba, the chairman, and was telling me about how his main focus is to acquire land. And he spoke about over 20 to 30 acres, and then just start on a project, however small it will be, eventually to avail cricket with a home. So I think sometimes it's about having a clear plan. And that's what I think cricket have done over time, especially at the administrative level. The challenge, though, I think with, and Davis would know, is the conveyor belt for the players. And this is something maybe, Andrew, they need to respond to.
Yep.
Some of the things around the quality of the team, the things that have dropped, especially with the batting. have come over the last, you could say, 10 to 15 years, because Uganda has not been able to have a very good system to produce these players. Of course, the biggest conveyor belt that they've had is the Schools Cricket Week, that needs a bit maybe of, needs a renaissance, but also they need to spread their wings beyond the schools cricket. I know cricket is very difficult to understand if you don't see some blackboards because of the way it's interpreted and the language with which it's played. There's a lot of things you can only understand if you see a blackboard.
Yeah.
But there was a time when we saw a lot of cricketers come through the 90s. Nwagaba himself was a cricketer, and he would know some of the performances we got was down to that conveyor belt and the system that was grooming our players. Now there's a challenge today that that system is not as strong as it used to be, and that has got to be something that Uganda Cricket Association has got to deal with. And then maybe finally, Andrew, you need to ask again. I heard you ask at the beginning about the funding. These guys get hardly zero fund. They get zero funding from government, but they're not whining.
Yeah. Okay, I appreciate that. They get zero funding from government and they're not whining. I think it's an interesting one we shall talk about. Like I said, you have two members on the National Council of Sports Board. Mr. Nwagaba, those must have been very important. Maybe some money is coming to you and we don't know.
Yes, we do get some funding from government.
Yeah.
Small or big, it is funding, it is money.
Yeah.
But the point is, how do you use the little you have?
Yeah.
Is what actually counts. Yes.
But if you have big tournaments that need a huge expense, it's a different story. Innocent, the Olympics 2024. Whew, I'm super excited. Cricket is going to be in there. As a journalist, you definitely are looking forward to this.
And then I tell you that what's even more exciting is that our girls will be in Birmingham for the Commonwealth Games. Hook or crook, I have this ingrained feeling that our girls will make the cut, because our girls actually have an easier pathway than our men's team. So many times the flagship brand of men association is the men's team. But I tell you that, for example, the Crested Cranes, who are the national women's soccer team, have a better chance than the Uganda Cranes to play in the World Cup at any one time. So you don't want to close your eyelid and say, well, I'm looking at the men, but when the women are going to butter your bread more often than the men will do. So I tell you, 2024 Los Angeles, here we come, because I tell you, our guys already think about it. The coach is thinking he will have his contract extended by then already, because he believes the current crop he has, and he has nurtured through the ranks, and where he's shown there's competition for every number on the team. There are 3 guys looking to play in that position. Will augur well for us going to 2024 with the guys who are going to retire, and then also,
Davis, I want a comment from you about the coach. What you really make of him, how much of an improvement you think he's brought to the boys. But someone also sent me a message saying, but Karashan should also tell us who his idols are. Folks have watched you for a very long while, and they don't know who gets your skin.
Let me start with the first one. For me, Coach Lawrence Mandlani, for me, as I said, is well, as Uganda Cricket, we're very lucky to have him. I think he's a massive addition to the federation, to the association. I think he brings a lot of quality. His understanding of the modern game is right up there. As I said before, the players and the coaching staff and the association should be able to pick as much as possible from him. My idols, really, for me, are the best player ever played with in the Ugandan jersey was Kenneth Kamyuka. For me, he's one of the biggest legends in the country. Ardent follower of Simwe Lusimbi for what he did for this nation. So for me, locally, those are my 2 heroes.
Hey, administration must be something you look forward to as well.
I've never been that good with politics. I've never really been that good. I'm not good at leaking certain things. But if there's a way of contributing that I can provide, I wouldn't mind doing it.
Mr. Nwagaba, I mean, I'm sure you had. I mean, if you're looking for someone who's going to do much for Ugandan cricket at a management level, you can't look beyond a former captain.
All hands are welcome. I mean, everyone supports in a different way.
Guys, just before we move on, because we don't have too much time as always, someone the other day was joking with me on Twitter and saying I use the line, we don't have time so much so that I can run off from topics. That is never the issue. But I want you to have a comment in there. First of all, this gentleman has come with some what is looking beautiful stuff on set.
These are elite national team sweaters.
So players' replicas.
Yes.
Yeah?
As a media manager, let me wear another hat.
First, give me a second, guys. So why have you brought them to the set of press box?
Because we believe, as a media manager for the national team, I believe it's we would like to leave our imprint here. So we get many more invites. Karashan has been out there crying and pleading for us.
Mangusha, come.
Yes, Andrew should come and receive his as well. Yeah, we've as Karashan has been crying out there that press box should be about other sports because we also matter. Small sports matter, but we're not a small sport as cricket. As a media manager, I am happy that the former captain, who's won so much for Uganda, and the chairman will hand over to one of each to each of you guys. This is a prayer replica on a cold day, because Uganda has been a country where you experience all different types of weather in one day. So you guys.
So you guys have brought this. This is fantastic, man.
So you guys will, please, Andrew, step up.
Can you take the honors of taking pictures?
Okay. Let's take some pictures. You can just stand here. Just stand here. Here is the phone. You're going to, you know what to use a Siemens. Just 1 second. We do apologize to the viewers. This must really be done. There you go. You're going to take a very good picture for us, eh?
Yeah, please.
Karashan, please come this side. You're in the camera. You're in the shot, Ndaula. I think you need to learn a thing or two about television.
As you can see, they need some broad shoulders.
Ndaula, please stand this side. You will get. There you go. There. Guys, thank you very much. We really appreciate this. This is fantastic.
What are you taking?
It's the official present coming through from Karashan and of course Mr. Nwaga and the Cricket Association.
Innocent, you're focused.
Yes, Andrew and NTV, we do value partnerships. You guys will keep us going. We are getting our teams out. They're selling the brand, they're selling the country. And to everyone, let's support our team.
Let's support
win or lose.
Karashan, just before we go.
And the texture is really nice.
You can now leave the set, my friend. This is Karashan, just before I let you guys go, you had something you wanted to add on that, on the future of Ugandan cricket. It's something I always ask you all the time. We've talked about the finances. We can talk about the technical side as well. What is it Ugandan cricket needs to focus on for us to get to that level moving forward?
The chairman hinted on it earlier, same as Paddy. I think Uganda cricket is in a fantastic place. Both our national teams have been they're in good state right now. They have perfect coaches, international coaches. For me, as I had mentioned earlier, probably a couple of years ago, I thought we had fallen short on process. But I can categorically state that UCA right now is in the process of finalizing or getting foot soldiers on ground to execute some of the strategic plans that people have sat down to think through and actually come up with. So for me, the fact that UCA is getting processes going, I mean, we've just given you a free jersey. So those don't fall.
You didn't have to rub it in, but
free quality jersey. 50 pounds or more, 50 pounds or more, and you imagine you get it free handshake.
So for me, really,
most important man in the association.
For me, those are the processes I felt that would actually keep us at float, and not just at float, but actually push for the vision that is talking about ODI status.
When are the teams traveling? So we can know what all these details are going to be now for the cricket fans out there.
The girls will be traveling on 7th. The boys will be traveling mid-October. And under 19s will be traveling late October. For the teams that are coming through, Kenya should be coming through in 9 days' time. Nigeria will be 10 days after that. Yes, so those are plans that are set. And we know it's COVID times. We will stream all these games.
Ooh, nice.
So whoever is out there and you love cricket, you will be able to watch the games from the comfort of your home. Yes.
Michael Nwaga, asante sana. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, sir.
Davis, as always, a pleasure having you on the show. We hope we can have you in the future as well.
Anytime.
So we can always talk lots and lots of cricket. You're still here, my friend. We've got to do that quick commercial break now. When we come back, chaos. I'm telling you, and drama, as AC Villa was trying to elect their new president. It did not happen. It did not happen. And I'm telling you, we have details that probably will shock you on the press box tonight. Plus, later on, 5-star Manchester City. Arsenal continue with the run that they started off with. It is the press box. We're live from the Kampala Serena Hotel, proudly powered by DSTV and Guinness. You're still watching the press box. The latest from European transfers that Leeds are in advanced talks to sign Manchester United's Dan James. But we shall get you those details very, very shortly when we go into the international headlines as well. Thank you very much, guys, for always joining the press box and sending us those reactions. I'm just checking Twitter. We are trending #1, and that is mainly because you watch the show and you send in your reactions as well. I'm talking about Twitter. Mr. Andrew Mangusha is standing by the big screen, everything that has been coming through online. My friend, what's going on?
I thought, my friend, basketball cricket, I will start straight up from the Uganda Cricket Association, who are actually reacting to Davis Karashan, and they're saying Devo 23 is unavailable for national team duty due to work and school commitments. And then we have Derek King, who says, NTV Press Box, it's sad hearing all this from the basketball team representing Uganda. And then we have Birigwa Mukama, who says music promoters are getting billions of shillings individually. Wow, okay. And an entire national team goes to beg for 300 million. This is so absurd and embarrassing. We have Aine Edwin.
Country, there is never enough funds because no one believes Ugandan teams can reach this level that they are reaching at the moment. I think that's a very interesting one from Flavia Okecho as well. And someone else online says that Innocent Ndaula looks like Lukaku. But I'm very sure this comment was the football and the fitness aside.
In my heyday, I was a little left footer. You don't want to go there into football stories.
Let me now cross over to a man who thinks he looks like Tiger Woods. So what exactly has been happening at AC Villa?
AC Villa, my guy, there was supposed to be an election at the weekend, but we've built up to this election throughout. But on Friday night, we got news of an interim order, actually an injunction, stopping the elections. And this was filed by one Brenda Kauma, who is part of Dennis Mbide's executive. Dennis Mbide and Medad Segona were the candidates for this one Villa presidency. And of course, some of the issues raised where the election process was quite unfair on their part. They had issues to do with the registration. The register, online registration was being jammed, they claimed, and some of their voters didn't register on time. And of course, they went to the election without a verified voters register. So those are some of the things that they had. And of course, they secured the order. Of course, Robert Chigundu, the chairman, Villa Electoral Commission, went ahead to kick off the voting on Saturday until he was officially served. And guess what? Of course, we know it's a member from Mbide's team that actually secured this order. But there is, of course, talk in the corridor that this order also could have been supported by some of the highest people in government. And this actually is informed by the fact that actually the Electoral Commission chairperson was served by that letter stopping the elections on Saturday by Omar Mandela, who personally delivered that letter to him, telling him to stop the elections on Saturday after several calls from high areas in government.
I don't know, Mongo, just give me a second. Just give me a second. When you say this involved some very high people in government, we're talking about elections of a football club.
Oh, yeah. Things to do with events that capture the attention of people and masses. Governments get interested, and it's not shocking because there's been talk in the corridors that you all know Dennis Mbide belongs to the ruling government. You know Segona is in opposition with NUP, and some sources say actually they did not want to see this happen and it had to be stopped. Okay. The fact that this gentleman, we know how busy he is, but he was actually personally responsible to deliver the serving to Chigundu, and Chigundu had to stop the election. Now, we all know, of course, if you followed this, it was quite infuriating knowing that they were coming close to having something credible. But looking at the things raised in the order, in the Brenda Kauma's petition with the courts, you see the things raised actually make sense, because how would you go to an election without a verified register? The Electoral Commission themselves for Villa were not ready because majority of the people did not receive email links to carry out the election online. And late Friday, Medad Segona and Chigundu were telling people on social media that if you did not receive the link, please come and vote in person at the hotel. Now, if you're out of the country, if you are not in Kampala, how do you come to that? So on reflection, you're actually happy that this order came through, because as of today, we got some way forward, and this is, of course, from the same order that the same court that has issued an order now after meeting the two parties. And this order actually has asked the trustees, because it was Brenda Kauma versus the trustees of Villa. So the trustees have been ordered to actually continue the registration process of members of Villa. Also, they've been asked to reopen the process, reopen the process of registration. Then they shall also recall members of the Electoral Commission or appoint and support new ones. Then the respondent, who is the trustees, shall ensure that there is sensitization of members on new voting procedure. Then we also have the respondent, who are the trustees here, shall put in place an interim executive to attend to day-to-day activities of the club. Now, a new president and leadership must be in place before the new season starts. Between you and me, Andrew, okay, not between you and me, but I'd love to let you know that there are two people, one senior vice president and another first vice president in Mbide's executive, who happen to appeal to both factions as neutral, and also have the backing of the people, what should I call them, power brokers within Villa and in government, who actually have got that goodwill, and they're the ones being pushed. I will not mention the names now, but just so you know, and don't be shocked when you do not see Mbide or Segona in the next event that happens. But between now and then, an interim will come through, named by the trustees. And tomorrow, I know one of the vice presidents is meeting sections of Villa members as well to discuss the way forward. So the whole point, going forward, is an interim committee is going to usher in a new electoral commission that will, front the elections, and all the things that were raised running up to that interim order have to be addressed before the new election is held and before the new season starts.
Okay, I want to cross over to Dakawa, who is in Tokyo now. Innocent here wants to make a comment, but just before that, Ismail, just the last episode, we had Mr. Dennis Mbide here in studio. We had Honorable Medad Segona on the line. They talked about their manifestos. They had their own clashing, and we knew that this was going to be done. Villa was going to move forward. I actually did ask both of them if this was going to solve the problems at Villa. Now, this has happened. How political is Ugandan sport, Ismail?
It's extremely political, and I'm not one of those who thinks it shouldn't be, because when you stand in an election, even if you're standing for class monitor, you're bound to steer a lot of emotion. Of course, some very unkind words were said during the campaign, especially from Dennis Mbide towards Medad Lubega Segona. And of course, always going to be accusations. If you stood for class monitor, you're very likely to hear one of the candidates saying the class teacher is favoring Andrew over Innocent, something like that. So some of the things that are said during the campaign, for me, are things that do not bother me. And I'm always banking on the civic competence of the people who are voting to stand right above the words and then see beyond it. But Andrew, I think in the end, very unfortunate because Villa needed to have this leadership in place, so they have a bit of time for them to reorganize the club, and then eventually, for many of us, I think most of the viewers of Pressbox do not even care who the president of Villa is. Most of them would love to get to a situation where we come to the show and we are discussing that Villa lost 2-0 or 1-2-0 or something like that, because that's what matters. That's the football that many of us, actually the things to do with the administration only bother Andrew and Andrew, Innocent, Mark and I, because the rest of the fans do not. And for me, that's a letdown. Yeah. Eventually, you hope that whatever is happening is eventually sorted. Of course, in the end, there's been a lot of accusations flying around that involve Moses Magogwe, the former president, for meddling in the entire process. And he's released a bit of a communication that I thought some of the things in there only implicated himself, especially when he states that he's helped Villa sign players when he's not part of the executive. Some of the things I thought were a bit unkind. You want to get into a situation where eventually the election is held between whoever is standing, who is Mbide and Segona, and then there is a winner. We know both are Villa fans, and then thereafter, they both return to their positions as fans, whoever is Victor and the other isn't, because Villa will need everyone. They've been in a very low place, and every kind of support or togetherness they can find is extremely important for the club at this point.
Okay, there you go. Thank you very much, Ismail. Let's quickly talk about the Premier League now for the final few moments of the show. I've got, of course, Innocent Daula still here with me, and Andrew Mangusha on the other side as well. Cristiano Ronaldo is back in the Premier League, but just before we talk about Manchester United, 1-1 between Liverpool and Chelsea. What will happen ahead of their next fixture? Nuno Espirito Santo, 3 games, 3 wins. Hurricane confirmed he will be staying. Son scoring the goals for Spurs. Not so many people at Manchester City. That did not happen. It's been confirmed. He will stay at Spurs, and so Espirito Santo and all those who support Spurs will be happy. But finally, before we leave our studio tonight, I'll start off with Andrew Mwangusha. I just want to see what his reaction is this time round. Cristiano Ronaldo is back in the Premier League and is playing for the red part of Manchester when we all thought he easily could cross over to the blue side. What a lift to the squad.
First of all, I'd like to know, do you want me to speak as a panelist or as a fan?
No, talk as a fan. No, as a fan. We are wrapping today. So then Manchester United travelling away to the Molineux and equaling the Premier League's record of 28 away games unbeaten. Arsenal was on 27. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is getting something right, specifically on the road.
And imagine Arsenal did this when they were the Invisibles. Yeah. And how about United? They will look like paupers. Sorry, I sound like a United fan, but I sympathize with them. United looks
definitely on the Premier League. Arsenal currently bottom of those standings. The big question is, will Arteta help them climb up? Just before we leave the show, I want to have one final comment from Tokyo, where Ismail is, ahead of what is coming up for Uganda's Paralympic team. Ismail, I'm sure you can hear me. So what's next? What's next for our team now? What should the Ugandans expect?
You know what, Andrew?
Yeah.
It's coming to 6 a.m. and from my window, I don't know whether you can you're able to see if I move this.
You can move your phone and I can see.
I want to show you something because the sun is out. This is Tokyo this morning.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Tokyo looks beautiful, man.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's it? That's all?
Have you been able to see that?
Yeah, but I thought you would continue seeing us Tokyo. We're not really interested in your face towards the end of the show, but...
Okay, I live on the 10th floor, but I'm just showing you that now once I get off television, I'm going to move out of my hotel, have my breakfast, and then head to the National Stadium, because in a few hours, Peace Oroma is going to be running the 100 meters, T13 hits. She's visually impaired. I'm hoping that she does a very good time. She's not ranked internationally yet. She claims that her best time is 13 seconds in 100 meters that she's run on grass at Makerere. Of course, they haven't had a chance to access Nambole, that is now a hospital. And the best times in that race are around 11, 12 seconds. So I look forward to seeing what she's going to do there. Then thereafter, I'm supposed to help some international journalists do some interviews with the Ugandan team, so that will also happen later on in the day. I think should be from around midday Tokyo time. So I have to get those interviews out of it. Andrew, I've been quite a gem here, getting all these interview placements for some of these media houses that want to understand what we are exactly doing with sport in our country. Luckily, none of them has been watching press box to know that the Silverbacks could actually head home today before they play Nigeria. Because I've told them a lot of positive things, especially the things to do with the talent, the God-given talent, the things that do not involve money. I've told them a bit of what happens in our country. So that's what I'm going to be doing for most of the day, and then I have to go and find Rita Simwe and sit down with her and have a discussion before she gets into the badminton arena later on in the week. But it's been quite an experience. It's been quite an experience being here. Forget the fact that I've not learned to eat cold food. You walk into a restaurant and you ask whether you want your food cold or hot. And I'm always thinking that who eats cold food anyway? it's quite an experience.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. We are going to definitely look out for your weight when you come back. But as we say bye-bye to the gem in Tokyo, I also want to thank Max Ali, who is, of course, been joining us from Kigali, Nasa Serunjoji, of course, the president of FUBA. To the cricket side, Davis Karashan, thank you very much, as always, for coming to the show and also getting us these fantastic attires. I want to thank the president, Uganda Cricket Association, as well, who has made sure he comes to the show, and, of course, Innocent Ndaula. Thank you very much, as always. Always welcome, my friend, for you to come to the press box and give us some knowledge. Eh?
I will do a takeover like Amin Andobote did to one of the leaders, taking over the presidency. In the absence of Isma, I'm happy to be head of NMD Sports here.
Andrew Mangusha as well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us tonight, and continue with those reactions coming in. We are trending #1 on Twitter tonight. We do hope to have more and more of those reactions throughout tomorrow. A very big thank you as well to DSTV, who are making sure the show is smooth every Monday. And as always, a very big thank you to Guinness. Please make sure you're above 18 years of age and drink responsibly. Sanitize, social distance, and wear that mask. From me and the rest of the panel, including everyone behind the scenes, the entire production team, good night and stay safe.